Hello. Good day. I want to discuss with the public at large the idea of homophobia or Islamophobia or sexism. I am totally confused what these mean. I didn't used to have any fear of homosexuals until I was younger and they tried to hit on to me. And now, if you go to comedy clubs, it says, do not make any homophobic jokes. Well, I don't know, because a lot of comedians are homosexual, so it's saying that although you can be a comedian and an homosexual, or homosexual and a comedian, you don't actually need a sense of humour to be in that position, because you can only make jokes outside of yourself, but you can't take them back. And the same they're saying, what they're saying in other words is, oh, if you can't make jokes about homosexuals, they're actually creating an homophobia, because you didn't have a fear before about homosexuals because you're ambivalent to them. Who cares how men have their sex? It's nothing to do with anyone. But when they put the fear in their head that you may be offending them all the time by what you're saying, they are actually creating mass hysteria about and towards homosexuals. Oh, look, there's an homosexual, be careful what you say in front of them. Is a phobia. That's creating a sociophobia, is what it is, a sociophobia about intermingling with people who normally you would not care less whether they're homosexual or not, but now you have to be very, very careful around them because you will be classed as homophobic. The same as with Muslims. They're saying that Muslims have no sense of humour, which I say is racist. They're saying you can't make Islamophobic jokes. Why not? Why can't you make jokes about Muslims? Why should they be excluded in the world from the rest of the world by saying, oh no, you're not allowed to join in humour and comedy and jokes. Oh, we can't make any jokes about Muslims. There's a joke about Muslims which is quite benign. My father was in Baghdad many years ago during the Second World War. On one occasion he was sitting in a cafe in Baghdad, smoking on a hookah, having some coffee with an Arab lad, and after a while a bunch of tents, like tall tents, came to the doorway, and the Arab man said, I have to go now, my wife is waiting for me. And my father said, well, how can you tell which is your wife? And he said, the one in the old bag. And that's where the term old bag comes from. My father introduced it into the world after his experience, his intercultural experience in Baghdad, mingling with Arabs and making friends with them. People are the same all over the world, but the ignorance in the academia and the media about other nations within the West is feeding into these phobias that we mustn't say things about Muslims or Pakistanis or whoever these people happen to be, because they may be offended. Well, that's prejudiced against them, isn't it? That's not including them in the world, that's excluding them from our world. It's saying you stay in your enclaves, don't come and join in ours, and then they say, oh, multiculturalism or diversity. We love diversity. In actual fact, they don't like diversity. Because if you can't be yourself and make your own jokes about anything you like, they're saying, oh, you're excluded. And then they're excluding Muslims and gays and women for having jokes made about them. Which, without humour, the world's a flat place. It doesn't raise its intellect by dumbing everyone down to suit some. Who is this dumbing down suiting? Academics on the left want to flatline everyone so they can't think for themselves. If you disagree with someone who's under 24 these days at university, you're acting violently towards them. I was told I was being violent towards some young lady because she was into punishing everyone. Oh, we must have punishment for the damage done to the world by the capitalists. I said, no, you must forgive. You have to forgive people. They are what they are. She says, oh no, you don't understand justice, and you're actually being violent with me by disagreeing with me. Well, It's a very odd thing to be called violent when you're not violent and they're actually attacking you for having an opinion, and then masses of them join in and attack people. Oh, you're old, you're a beard, you must be an old fart, we can attack you and we're justified. So therefore they're separating old white men out. At the same time they're saying, here we want diversity. Well, sorry, old white men, eccentric old white men are diverse. The epitome of what diversity is all about, they're attacking. This subterfuge placed into society by academia or the experts, or not experts, experts at manipulating society. Now we get back to homophobia. Many years ago, phobia is a fear. Well, you're allowed to be claustrophobic, aren't you? If you're locked in a box, you think it's your coffin, that's quite frightening. So you're allowed to have a fear of being locked in a small room, and you're allowed to have a fear about whatever you like. No one say you can't have a fear, but years ago when I was much younger, I was in Canberra doing a job up there, and we went out for the night with a bunch of guys to a club. We did not know at that time what a gay club was, we had no idea. Went up the stairs to the club, and it was all men, apart from a few men in dresses dancing near the band. Now it didn't bother us, we thought it was amusing, had a beer, etc. But there was a guy there who was huge, built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, with a bright orange bib and brace overalls on, and he was a massive man. He was 6'6" tall, built like a brick shit house, and I was staring at him inadvertently and rudely because I thought, wow, we was a bit stoned and pissed, and he winked at me, and being friendly and naturally friendly, and I winked back at him, and he came over to me, he put his hand on my shoulder and said, would you like to come back to my place, sweetheart? Well, you know, that wasn't an unnatural fear. I had no, well, I had a total fear of being split in half by a fucking giant. So I shot down the stairs. In 2.5 seconds I was gone out of that place. So the fear wasn't of the homosexual himself, but the actual participating in the homosexual act when you have no wish or desire to be involved in such things. So when they talk about phobias and all this, the phobia is fear of people speaking honestly and openly their own thoughts on things, because it may upset the agendas of whoever these academics or whoever are behind trying to manipulate society into flatlining its thinking into a monoculture, a monocultural thinking. And that is not diversity, that's monotonous, and that is cloning by degrees. Very carefully they're cloning society to all think the same. Well, it's not going to work. Human beings will fight back against this. Anyway, I just thought I'd have a chat about that sort of thing. Bye bye.